Hello again. I picked up this science fiction book the other day in a charity shop. It was first published in 1962 and it's a perfect example of what is sometimes called the cosy catastrophe genre, the kind of science fiction made popular, of course, by John Wyndham. I'm sure some viewers have read The Day of the Triffids, Crake and Wakes, Midwich Cuckoos and so on. They're all very British with mostly middle class characters coming to terms with some disaster. I love books and films like this. Anybody remember a series called Survivors, which was on television 40 or 50 years ago? It was about a deadly virus that killed almost everybody in the world. The only people spared when it spread to England seemed to be a group of well-spoken middle-class types. This book, The Darkest of Nights by Charles Mayne, is very similar. A terrible virus spreads to Britain from China and many people die. The reason I'm talking about it today is this. In the book, the scene for the collapse of civilization is set by describing a series of frightening measures which the government of the day takes. Because they are so unprecedented, it tells us all that something dreadful is going on. So, the indication that we are in uncharted waters and that civilization must surely be crumbling is that the British government starts ruling by decree. Here are the sorts of things which readers in 1962 were appalled by and saw as a sign of impending doom. Let me read just a couple of sentences now. Under another emergency decree, all communal gatherings are banned for the duration of the emergency in order to minimise the potential spread of the virus. This means that all entertainment will close down, including cinemas, theatres, stadiums and meetings generally, which are not classified as essential. Stay at home so far as is possible. Avoid mixing with other people, especially crowds. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Later on, the hero visits central London. Even in daytime, London seemed a deserted city. He saw only 5 cars and 1 bus in the whole length of Oxford Street, where in pre-virus days the choked traffic had crawled in convoy from one signal to the next. Pedestrians were few in number and most of them were wearing virus filters over their nose and mouth, a bit like the lockdown last year. The thing is, in the early 1960s, this all sounded quite fantastic, and yet here we are taking all that kind of stuff for granted. The government is indeed ruling by issuing decrees and doing all the things described in this novel, and yet hardly anybody blinks an eye. I find it curious that what would once have been fantastic and unthinkable has simply turned into everyday life.